Alright guys, so welcome to this video. So this video I want to go through kind of the 3 phases of growth. And the way I look at it, there are 3 phases to growing in this business. This is the same process that we follow with every business we ever start, same process I recommend everybody starts with. Alright, so phase 1, you'll see is over here. Alright, so with phase 1, we have phase 1 is where you're basically doing everything in the business. So you're the marketing person. So you're accountable for getting all the leads for the business. You need to be able to know how each part of the business works before you can hire and train other people to do that. If you don't understand how that part of the business works, you can't effectively train someone else to do it. So you're going to be relying on hiring the perfect person. Now, there's a lot to say about hiring the right person for the job, but you still need to understand very well the business, because your job to get to phase 2 and phase 3, your job, if you want to build a very large business, your job is to coach and empower your team. And you can't coach and empower people and train people effectively unless you know that there needs to be a certain level that you understand about the business before you can really train and coach and empower other people. Now at this point in my business, my marketing manager he knows, I don't even know how a lot of his systems work anymore, right? He's starting to take some of those things on. Right? And then we talk about like my production manager, like there's things that he started to develop above and beyond. All right, so when the business starts to get much, much bigger, you start to have really powerful employees, but you need to have a certain baseline on how the entire business is going to work before you can start to replace yourself in those different areas. So that's really what we want to focus on in phase 1, okay? So in phase 1, you're generating leads, you're finding customers who want estimates. You're the one going out and doing the estimate. So you're meeting the customer, you're providing the estimate, you're finding out what they need and want, you're presenting the contract, and you're closing the job, and you're collecting deposit. You're also the person who's managing production, which means you're the person who's hiring the subcontractors, managing the subcontractors, building an ongoing relationship with subcontractors, and managing the customers on the customer side as well. All right, and so throughout this course, we're going to go into extreme detail on marketing. In that marketing module, we're going to go into a lot of detail on sales in the sales module. We're going to go into a lot of detail on production in the production module. And what's really great about this is once you do start to get these skills down and you start to learn and develop yourself and understand them, you can come back to these modules and use them to train your team. Okay? So this is what we want to aim for in phase 1. Before we can move to phase 2, there's certain numbers you need to be hitting. So this is how you know you've accomplished phase 1 is not an amount of time. It's not like 6 months or 1 year or 2 years or 5 years. It's not a matter of time. It's a matter of results. Okay? Because the first thing that you need to do is typically the first thing we do is we hire a production manager. And the reason we first hire a production manager is you're going to be running the business. You're going to be doing the marketing, the sales, and the production. And you're going to get to a point where you're doing that full time. Right? Because look, I don't want you to go and start a business that's going to consume your life. The whole reason I love business and entrepreneurship is because the life it provides, not the life it takes away, not 60-hour work weeks and all that kind of stuff. And there's a way to continue to grow and build your company without constantly putting more time in. And the key is delegation. And the key is to know when you need to delegate different tasks and what tasks you need to delegate. Okay, so when we are in phase 1, by the time you can generate 10 estimates per week, 10,000 in sales per week, and produce 10,000 in production per week. This is how, and you can do this consistently, that's how you know you're ready for phase 2. Okay, and we'll get to phase 2 in a moment, but this is how you know you're ready for phase 2. So this is your main goal with your business when you're getting started, is 10 estimates a week, 10,000 in sales a week, and produce 10,000 in production a week. Now, how this works out is marketing, depending on which marketing avenues you choose, can be anything from like, I don't know, 3 hours a week to 10 hours a week. Okay, so that's 3 to 10 hours a week. Doing 10 estimates a week to sell the 10,000, that's going to take you about an hour and a half to 2 hours per estimate. Let's round up and go high. We're going to say that's going to be about 20 hours a week. All right, producing 10,000 a week, that's about 3 jobs. So that means 3 customers a week. You shouldn't be spending more than 5 hours a week on a customer, and so this is going to be about 15 hours a week. So right here you can see we're right around a 40 to 50 hour work week. So you're pretty much maxed out there. It's going to be really hard for you to do much more than this by yourself. It totally can be done, and you absolutely can do more, and I know people who do more. I know people who do 700,000 or 800,000 a year, and they're doing everything, but this is a good place to start. And the reason we want to get to these numbers is because we need to hire someone. And in order to hire someone, we need to make sure we have a job that someone wants. Okay, so we pay our production manager about 5%. We pay our salespeople 5 to 7%. It's kind of up to you. We pay our sales reps currently 7%. So if we're selling $10,000 a week, we can hire a production manager for about 7%. Or we can hire a salesperson for 7%, or we can hire a production manager for 5%. Now, 5% of $10,000 is $500 a week. $500 a week, 50 weeks a year, it's $25,000 a year, not a lot of money. But it is only a part-time job. Okay, so we can hire someone for $500 a week to manage production if it's a part-time job and they know that they're going to be able to grow and grow. All right, so we'll get into hiring later, but the point is that if you're not selling $10,000 a week, it's going to be hard to hire a production manager because they're not going to be making enough money. So it's going to be like, if you can only offer someone $200 to $300 a week, what kind of employee are you going to hire? You're not going to hire a superstar for that kind of money. So you need to be able to provide consistent work to hire someone. Okay? Now the reason we don't like to hire sales first is because sales is like what drives the entire organization. You don't want to risk having someone come in and do sales and not be effective. Because if this $10,000 a week goes nowhere, it's like, yeah, you can produce it, but if all of a sudden your salesperson comes in and they can't sell it, you're in trouble. Sales is usually a little bit harder skill to hire for and to train than production. Production is a little more of a system-oriented role. Okay, so this is the numbers we're aiming for. And at this phase, okay, we had 3 new business partners last year, and all 3 of them were in phase 1 through the entire year. And every single one of them hit almost right exactly 35% profit. Okay, so what that means is when you're hitting these numbers, that means you can make about $3,500 a week. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with phase 1. You know, everybody wants to get to phase 2 and phase 3, and you absolutely should, absolutely. Like that's why I'm here, is because I'm in phase 3 with all my businesses, and I've learned how to get to this phase 3 with every business I start, so that I can keep doing the things that I want to do with my time and my life, and that's the direction you should want to move in. Okay, but you can't run before you walk. All right, you got to crawl, then you can walk, and then you can jog, and then you can run. You got to go with the process, okay? And if you can't effectively generate these results, how do you think you're going to be able to hire someone else to generate those results? It's going to be really hard. All right, so once we fulfilled this, by the way, the 35% profit margin breaks down like this. We're paying about 50 to 55% to our subcontractors. We're paying 10% to marketing, sometimes lower than that, and then 5% to other expenses, insurance, maybe startup costs, maybe you buy some t-shirts, some lawn signs, whatever else, and maybe some accounting or bookkeeping or whatever. And so a good number, like for first year, anywhere from $200,000 in revenue up to $400,000 or $500,000 in revenue is a really fantastic first year. But you can see based on these numbers, even if you only do $100,000, $150,000 in business, you can make yourself a decent amount of money doing this, even if you're just getting started. But we'll be going through goal setting too in another video. So once you've fulfilled these numbers, once you can consistently hit this, it's time to start to hire. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is hire a production manager. And the reason we want to hire a production manager is to free up this 15 hours a week. So 15 hours a week, at first you're going to kind of be working a little harder, an extra 5 hours a week to hire that production manager, and then you're still working 15 hours a week while you're training them. But once you stop training them, this drops down to about 5 hours a week, which means you can pick up another 10 hours a week in sales. So all of a sudden we start selling $15,000 a week. Okay, so now we've increased sales. So we're paying 5% out to our production manager, but that's okay because we're doing more revenue. So instead of a 35% profit margin at $10,000, making $3,500, making a 30% profit margin at $15,000, and we're making $4,500. So we're actually making more money, but we're working the same amount of time. Okay, and we'll get into hiring later, but I'm just kind of painting the picture here. The next thing we're going to hire is so now all of a sudden you've got a production manager. Now you're doing 15 estimates a week, 15,000 in sales a week, and now you're busy again. You're fully booked. Okay, well guess what? With a 7% commission, you can pay a salesperson almost $1,000 a week. Now we have a pretty lucrative position for a salesperson. So then it's time to hire your salesperson. Okay, so we hire a salesperson. You're working 30 hours a week doing sales. Guess what happens when you hire a salesperson? this 30 drops down to like 5, because your only job now is supporting your salesperson, supporting your production manager, and you're going to increase your time on marketing. Okay, so now you're going to start spending a little more time on marketing to make sure your salesperson stays busy. So now, this is just with the production manager. We said we're making about $4,500 a week. That's at a 30% profit margin. Now we're doing 15 estimates, booking 15K with our salesperson, and our margin drops even more because now we're paying 7% to your salesperson. So now we're down back to somewhere like $3,700 a week in profit, but you're not doing the production, you're not doing the sales. So the next move is maybe not to hire the marketing manager yet. What I usually recommend doing is increasing marketing and hire another sales rep. Okay, so then we want to bump this 15 and 15. We want to bump it up to 30 and 30. All right, and so your organization looks like this. You've got production manager who can produce 30K a week. That's totally doable for production manager. You have sales reps who are selling 30K a week. Your profit margin is something like 25%. So all of a sudden you're making like $7,500 a week. All right, and that might drop a little bit depending on some of the other expenses you start to incur, and that's going to take us to phase 3. Okay, so once you start to get busier with marketing and you need more marketing, your job at this point in phase 2 is just team building. Okay, so that's what this is all about in phase 2. Here, it's all about team building, and in phase 1, it's all about mastering the business. Okay, you need to master the business before you can really grow it. You slow down to speed up. Once you master the business, then you get to focus on team building. Someone who's very masterful at this business makes it much easier to build your team. All right, so this is the process. Eventually, we hire a marketing manager, so we're building our team, and the main thing is just hiring them and training them is one thing, but ongoingly developing our team to produce good results is really what we're after. So what results would be good results? Your marketing manager needs to provide all the leads that you need to do the estimates that you need. That's the marketing manager's job. They have to get us enough leads to keep our salespeople busy. Salespeople should be doing 15 estimates a week, at least. 15 estimates a week. They should sell at least 5 of those for at least $15,000 in sales a week. That's a minimum expectation with the sales rep. All right, and that's what we're aiming for. Sometimes they fall short, sometimes they're way higher. We just hired a 19-year-old kid, Hunter, who's been going door to door for us for a while, and in 1 week he did 16 estimates. He sold $40,000 in just residential repaints. All right, so we want to aim for 15 estimates, $15,000 in sales per sales rep. A good production manager can produce $30,000 to $50,000 a week. All right, so that's just what we're seeing. We've got a new guy right now. He started with us about 7 weeks ago. He's in the other room right now, and he produced about $40,000 last week. All right, so basically we can have one production manager produce 40K, 3 sales reps sell 40K, and a marketing manager generate 40 estimates, and we pay them a percentage too. That's where your percent starts going down. All right, so here's what phase 3 looks like. Once we've trained and developed a team, basically we continue to train and develop our team. All right, so you're here, you've got a marketing manager who's accountable for marketing, you got salespeople who are accountable for sales, and you got a production manager who's accountable for production. All right, so your marketing manager generates 50 estimates a week. Your sales reps sell 50,000 a week on those estimates. Your production manager produces 50,000 a week. Maybe that's a production manager plus a color consultant, maybe it's just a production manager, maybe it's 2. But the point is, at this level, you're doing about 50,000 in sales a week. Let's assume we have 40 weeks a year of the painting season. When you take out the holiday season and like the winter, that's about $1.5 million to $2 million in revenue. 18 to 20% profit is what you can expect at this level. Okay, that's right around what our margins are going to be at, about 18 to 20%. And then so that can be anywhere from $270,000 to $400,000 in profit. And you should be doing this once you've sufficiently developed your team and you have a strong marketing manager, strong sales rep, strong production manager. You shouldn't have to work a tremendous amount of time here. And what I actually did is I brought in a partner. So I promoted one of my sales reps to be my business partner. Now he runs the business and I just work with him every week. So actually for Foothills Painting, I don't spend more than 3 to 4 hours a week in that business at the very most. And that's a $2.5 million business this year. We'll make $400,000 or $500,000. And we actually just gave another little percent of equity to our production manager because he's fantastic. He does an amazing job. we wanted to have him as a business partner to keep him around in the long term and to reward him for doing such a great job. And so I'm a big fan of, at these levels, giving people a little bit of my business. And I actually gave Ben half of my business. We gave Paul 10% of our business, so I actually own 45% of this. Ben owns 45%, Paul owns 10%. I'm a big fan of giving people equity because they deserve it. And if you want someone to act like an owner, you've got to give them some ownership. And when you do that, they totally rise up. And the moment I gave Ben some equity in my company, he performed at a whole other level. He went from selling $300,000 one year to $750,000 the next year and running the whole business. Paul has just been on fire ever since we brought him in as a partner in the business. So the beautiful thing about phase 3 is about really automating your business. It's about how do you start to pull yourself out of your business so you can pursue other things. For me, for a while, that was traveling. And I still travel a lot. I travel 75-ish days a year. Travel all over the world, and I love it. It's also another thing I love to do is I start to other companies like Painting Business Pro, like Painter Choice, like another company I've started with my girlfriend and her best friend. And so I really love that. Or you can maybe spend more time with friends and family. Maybe you want to get more involved with your church. Maybe you want to start a nonprofit. Maybe you just want to spend more time with friends and family. Maybe you just want to save up. Or maybe you want to take all that free time you have and double down on your business and grow the crap out of it. But the whole point is that these are the phases of growth you go through. And this is what we're going to kind of focus on in the course. And primarily in the course, we're going to be focusing a lot on phase 1 because there's a lot here. This is the foundation of it all. You've got to have a strong foundation of systems in the business because systems is the backbone of training and hiring people to be effective. You've got to have amazing systems. That's what I'm talking a ton about in this course. So we're going to dive into all of those systems. We're going to start to get into this, but this is a whole other monster right here. And we'll touch on that in like the 5th module or so. So those are the 3 phases of growth. And I hope you found this video valuable. And we'll see you in the next one.